Is that going to be one of the games of the year for you?
He's all over the place all the time.
If you've got $20 in your pocket, who's winning the NFC North?
Oh boy.
Hello and welcome to Football X's and O's, our weekly tactics show giving you all the inside analysis from across the NFL. Today we're going to look at the NFC North matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears for first place in the division. I'm Daniel Cutts and I'm here with NFL expert David Scott. David, how's it going?
Pretty great. A lot of fun in that matchup. I'm excited to talk about it.
David, what are we going to be looking at today?
All right, so we're looking at Pack on top. The Green Bay Packers are back in first place in the NFC North. They're looking to hold on to that for the rest of the year. We're going to talk about love to see it. Jordan Love connected for his first touchdown. There were a couple more throughout the day. We're going to talk about what went right there. We're talking about two-way star Bo Melton out of Rutgers. It's his third year in the NFL. He plays both sides of the ball like Travis Hunter was hyped up to be. We're going to see what he did well on offense today rather than defense. We're talking about slide out. Colston Loveland has been a really great rookie tight end. He's kind of surpassing Tyler Warren. We're going to see what he did to score in this game. And then we're going to talk about the fight to the end. It is going to be a brawl in the NFC North between the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions for the rest of the season. They've each got 4 games left. We're going to talk about who might come out on top and who might be left out of the playoffs.
First up, David, it's the quarterback matchup between Jordan Love and Caleb Williams. How did you see them compare in the game? Who came out on, obviously Jordan Love came out on top, but how did you see Caleb Williams getting on and how did they compare?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good game for both of them despite what the stat lines look like. Nothing really flashy out there, 180 yards for Caleb Williams, 230 for Jordan Love. That's not too flashy. The completion percentage doesn't look great for Caleb Williams. He's got that rough interception. Jordan Love's also got an interception. But 2 touchdowns for Williams, 3 touchdowns for Love. I think they both played really well in this game for what they were facing. It was a bit of a rough matchup in terms of weather. It was really cold, and there's 2 good defenses in this matchup. So I think they worked with what they got. Caleb Williams was getting away from pressure really well. He was seeing a lot of blitzes, and he was making sure to avoid sacks instead of taking big hits. And Jordan Love was just dicing up the field when he needed to. He wasn't doing too much. He was letting his run game do the work. So I think they both managed the game very well despite not having too flashy of stat lines.
This one interception seems to be where the discrepancies on both sides happen. That was the important play of the game.
Yeah, last play of the game, about 20 seconds left, and Caleb Williams just kind of floats one up into the end zone that gets picked off. It was not the best play that you've ever seen, for sure, and he's going to get a lot of flack for that because DJ Moore was streaking across the field. He looked like he was wide open and could have walked in, but I don't fault Caleb Williams too much for that interception. It's late in the game. You're down a score. You have to get a touchdown. He made the wrong read. It ends up coming back to bite them. But I don't think you would ever really give your quarterback a knock for trying to tie the game in that scenario. Sure, without the interception, they're going to get a few more shots at the end zone. But, you got to get into the end zone at one point, whether or not it's on that play or a few plays later. So he was aiming for the score. That's what you want to do. It didn't work out. It's a shame. But, they're still a top team. He's going to make mistakes. A lot of people forget this is Caleb Williams' second year in the league. He's not the super professional that a lot of other quarterbacks are yet. He's learning as he goes. He's getting better every game. That's a mistake that you don't want to see. But at the same time, he's the reason that they got back into that position to potentially tie the game.
So we're midway through the second quarter. It's tied 0-0, and the Packers have the ball on the Bears' 23-yard line when Jordan Love finds Christian Watson for the score.
All right, so this is just really great pocket awareness from Jordan Love. He knows he's got a huge amount of pressure coming on him, and he gets the ball out pretty quickly. So what the Bears are doing here is it's man coverage, but they're also bringing pretty much a zero blitz. So a zero blitz is you've got zero help out there besides your corners. So when your guys are going downfield, they're going to be in one-on-one matchups while pretty much everyone else goes down and blitzes. Now, one of these guys on the line does drop back a little bit, but I think he's serving as a spy on the quarterback so that if that pressure comes in and Love finds an escape route to get out, he can stay on him, get him down so he can't find a big gain down the field. Now, he doesn't get out. He stays firm in the pocket, doesn't get happy feet, doesn't get worried, because he knows Christian Watson's going to come open on this post route up the field, sees him get open, beat his one man. There's no safety help. So when that ball gets to him, he can easily waltz into the end zone for the score. Makes a good catch, too, because his corner's not too far behind him. There's a little bit pressure on him when he's getting that catch in, hauls it in easily, right on the goal line for the score. That gets them the lead. And it's a big play. Christian Watson has been huge since he's come back from injury, and it's a really great connection.
So Christian Watson's the touchdown scorer. It's great to see him back after so many injury issues over the years, and maybe a bit more of that explosive speed that he used to have. Has that come back as well?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we were looking for that top weapon in the Packers offense as we were going through the season, And when Watson came back, it was clear that it was going to be him. They have other guys. Dontavian Wicks has been pretty good, and obviously the running game with Josh Jacobs has been good. But you've really been looking for that connection, especially since Tucker Kraft went down as well. He was, I think, arguably the top receiver in this offense as a tight end. He goes down with his ACL injury. You got a bit of a up-in-the-air situation. Christian Watson comes in. He gives you a bunch of security. He's always going to be that target for Love. And he's been doing it week after week now. He's scoring touchdowns on a weekly basis. He's getting 50, 60 yards a week. And that's exactly what Jordan Love needs, just a consistent option. Make sure the offense keeps flowing down the field so that you have something to complement that running game. And it's not just Josh Jacobs doing everything every week.
I was going to ask you about that, actually. Jordan Love, he hasn't really had that receiver who he can rely on since he got into the NFL. Is Christian Watson that guy now who, as long as he stays fit, can be the kind of main target for the Packers?
Yeah, I think so. And the debate was always, why don't the Packers ever draft a wide receiver? Why don't they ever draft a wide receiver? They finally do it this year. They get Matthew Golden, and he's kind of been a non-factor. He's a first-round wide receiver pick, and he's just not on the field all that much. He's not catching that many passes. Christian Watson comes back and reminds everyone, hey, I'm the top option in this offense. I'm reliable. I can be what Jordan Love needs me to be. I don't see them really needing another wide receiver right now. I think they've got a pretty balanced room now. When Tucker Kraft comes back, he's going to be a perfect complement for Watson, but it's going to be a little while before that injury is rehabbed. I don't know if we'll see him at the start of next year or not. Fact of the matter is, Christian Watson's your number one guy. You don't really need anything else to bolster that room. Dontavian Wicks, Matthew Golden can be his second and third option, either way you want to put them, but for now, Watson is that clear number one, and he's going to continue making an impact throughout the year.
Do we think we'll see more plays kind of in this style then with Tucker Kraft out for the rest of the year? They can't really rely on obviously having that tight end every game. So is this type of play from Watson kind of something you see happening for the last 4 games of the year?
Yeah, Watson is a big-bodied wide receiver. He does almost resemble a tight end in the way he's structured. He's really thick. He's tall, but he's still got that speed of a wide receiver. And on this play, he did kind of have a contested catch ability where he was kind of draped and was still able to get the ball down. That's something Tucker Kraft did really well. The Packers did like to send Tucker Kraft down the field. I think Watson has stepped into that role and has performed it well. So yeah, but more deep crossing routes and such, those contested catches down the field, I think that's Watson's game. That's what they're going to continue doing with him. And if it keeps seeing success like this, it's going to be good for the Packers.
We've now got less than a minute left in the fourth quarter. The Packers lead 7-3 with the ball on the Bears' 45-yard line when Jordan Love goes deep to Bo Melton.
All right, so what we're looking at here is instead of a blitz or man coverage, we've got zone coverage coming from the Bears. And a lot of times how we see zone coverage get beat is a guy just gets loose on a deep route. And that's kind of what happens with Bo Melton here. Now, Bo Melton is not a usual face on the offense. Bo Melton is a cornerback. He's doing the Travis Hunter, except he was doing it before Travis Hunter got out. He wasn't doing it at the same level that Travis Hunter was, but he's featured on offense and defense for the Packers, and he's done it well. And that continued here. I mean, he just gets streaking down the field, a deep post compared to what we saw with Christian Watson, more of a shallow in-crosser. Bo Melton gets on a deep post and just beats the safety help. There's no corner on him, obviously, because this is his zone. People are just aimlessly wandering around the field here trying to figure out what's going on. And all of a sudden, Melton's 50 yards down the field, hauls in the pass with no problem, and gets into the end zone. Little rough showing from the Bears zone coverage here. They should be better with 2 high safeties in a zone. Somehow Melton just splits right between them with no problem. Someone was looking somewhere that they shouldn't have. Maybe Jordan Love looked off one of the safeties for this in route, or looked off one of the safeties for this post route down here, or maybe the running back was deceptive enough to make them think it was a run play. What happens is someone's sleeping, Melton gets through it, it's a touchdown. I think this is a great play. I see it more as a defensive breakdown from the Bears.
So you don't think it's the distraction of these guys here and here? It's a safety issue at the top. One of them has blown their coverage or blown their where they should be, and it's given Melton a free run.
Yeah, that's what I would say. When you're running a 2 high safety, there should be someone capable of recognizing a deep route is coming and getting on coverage of it. They could have at least contested this play, but there was no contesting. Melton was wide open, like zero issue catching the ball. There was no one even close to him. You could say that the play was deceptively designed so that one of those guys was confused by it, but I really think that there was just some issue here that someone got confused by their coverage or there was just a misconnect in the play calling for the defense that they didn't really know what was going on here. But just guys floating around in places where there's really no one there. Sure, it's zone coverage. That is going to happen. You cover your zone regardless if someone's there or not. But when we get up here into these two zones at the top of the field, someone's got to be there. You can't let someone waltz right in between them. You got to drift over. Someone's got to drift over. I mean, look how much openings we got here and how many openings we got here as the players are going to come across the field. Someone's got to drop back, or he's got to recognize that no one's coming across to this side of the field. Let's drift over with my assignment and get some help on the other side of the field. Doesn't happen, so I think that's what really went down here.
Do you think also Melton being on the field and them kind of not anticipating that he might be there, that kind of distracted them as well? It's not someone, obviously, he's part of the offense now and again, but he's obviously not a main weapon that they use. So those kind of distraction tactics there might have played a part in that.
No, certainly. You know, Bo Melton, when you get out there, I'm sure the Bears don't have a huge scouting report for him on the offense. He hasn't had as big of a role this year as he had in previous years. So sure, maybe they don't really understand what Melton is capable of. They don't know what kind of routes he runs. They don't know his success rates this year. So there's not a huge scouting report. So when they see Bo Melton going deep, maybe they underestimate his speed, or they underestimate his catching ability, or they don't think Jordan Love's ever going to throw the ball to Bo Melton. Maybe they think he's the distraction and it's going to someone else. I think that's totally possible, because these teams they obviously scout everyone and they try to prepare for every possibility. But when a cornerback gets on the field, you know, outside of Travis Hunter, you're not expecting a cornerback to get out on wide receiver. Bo Melton goes out there, scores a huge touchdown, and the Bears are probably going to scout him a little deeper in the future.
It's halfway through the fourth quarter, and the Bears have the ball on the Packers' 2-yard line with a chance to tie the game when Caleb Williams finds a wide-open Colston Loveland.
All right, so in this play, we're right on the goal line. So you got to be thinking a lot of different things when you're the defense. Are they going to pound it up the middle? Are we going to go for a tush push? We're going to try some play action. We're going for a fade route in the back. A lot of things to think about. Probably the easiest way to try and cover that is send everyone and just try and get Caleb Williams down pretty quickly. And that's what the Packers do. They send everyone. And that's why I really like what the Bears draw up here in terms of an offense. Now, I don't think this was actually designed for Colston Loveland. I do think that it worked out perfectly for him to get the ball. But this crosser coming around here behind Caleb Williams to the other side of the field gets chop blocked. So a Packers defender goes low, hits him, falls over. I think if he doesn't get chop blocked, he's wide open over here for the touchdown, and I think Williams looked for him first. You can argue that the chop block was maybe illegal, and because those low blocks are not entirely allowed, it's a bit of a hazy rule. But the fact of the matter is, he goes down, so that's not an option anymore. Now, what Colston Loveland does well, and this is one of my favorite offensive designs that you can do, is a block and release. So Colston Loveland, first half of this year was more of a blocking tight end. The second half of this year, he's been really good in the receiving game, more of a threat. But what he does is he engages in one of these Packers blitzers. They're coming in, he's going to engage, start blocking to make them think, all right, he's just totally protecting Caleb Williams for the play. Give it a few seconds while engaged in that block, he's going to let go out into the play. So at that point, everyone who's in coverage here is not anticipating Colston Loveland to be a part of the passing game. Once he disengages, he comes across the field, absolutely zero coverage. He gets to the right side of the field, wide open, no one within 10 feet of him, and it's easy for Caleb Williams to float in the ball and tie the game with this play.
Is this the type of situation where Williams thrives, really, down on the yard, down in the sort of red zone where there's a bit of chaos going on? Because obviously he can scramble so well, he can move around. It's such a distraction for the defense when there's so many moving parts going around, and it opens up so many other lanes. Is that something that he really thrives off? Yeah,
I think chaos is actually a perfect way to describe Caleb Williams' play style, because he's all over the place all the time. And I think this is why Ben Johnson is such a good coach for him, because he can scheme up these crazy plays where you have to have eyes everywhere. And on top of that, now you have to have eyes on Caleb Williams. Because when you're Ben Johnson in Detroit, you can scheme up these fun plays, but Jared Goff is not really an option to get out of the pocket. He's going to give you maybe 2 yards rushing, and that's it. Caleb Williams has the ability to dodge blitzes, to spin off of sacks, to get down the field and run the ball. And we saw that throughout this game, and which is probably why the Packers were sending this heat a little more aware of that, trying to get to him rather than covering Loveland. I think Williams is such a weapon in so many different facets of the game. You add on, explosive playmakers like Colston Loveland, that gives you a lot of trouble on defense. And sure, they don't get the win, but they're showing flashes of why they're 9-4 this year, as opposed to missing the playoffs last year, and why they could take further steps in the years to come with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, and now Colston Loveland, DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai. There's so many weapons out there. DJ Moore. You could keep just saying names after names after names. I think you bolster this offensive line a little bit so that the pressure is not always on Caleb Williams, as we talked about earlier. And then you have a really, really dangerous team. For now, Williams has to do a lot of that heavy lifting with his playmaking, with his legs, with the chaos of the field. If they can settle down that pocket a little bit, I think this could be so dangerous in the future.
They've added Loveland in the draft over the off-season. Is he someone you'd like to see more involved in the offense? And it's been a bit stop-start throughout the year for him, but is he someone you see a bright future in the NFL for, and someone who they need to probably get the ball to a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Colston Loveland was picked before Tyler Warren in the draft this year, and there were a lot of question marks about that because a lot of people saw Tyler Warren as the more true tight end, a better receiver, could do a lot more things in the offense, and Loveland was seen more as a blocker. And throughout the first half of the year, I would totally say that Tyler Warren should have been the pick, that the Bears should have taken him instead of Loveland. And then we've seen in the last 6 games or so, Loveland has totally surpassed Warren, in my opinion. He has been playing much better. He's scoring more touchdowns than him. He's showing that he is a really good receiving tight end. I think there's a lot that you can draw up with him because you've got so many weapons on this offense that need to be covered, as we just said. You know, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. Now you've got a true tight end that can get in there, and they also have Cole Kmet at tight end. You got 2 good tight ends. You got great receivers, great running backs. There's opportunities for Loveland to get open in a lot of different plays, and they could scheme up exciting things like this block and release to get him open more. So you got a few games left in the season. We'll see how they utilize him for the rest of this year. But I think these last few games can show us how he's going to be used in the future in following seasons as he builds a better connection with Caleb Williams.
So we've 4 games to go now in the NFC North, and the picture isn't as clear as it was beforehand, to be honest with you. There's still some tough matches to go. The Packers and Bears, Lions still all within a shout of winning the division. David, where do you see this division being won and lost?
I got to tell you, I have no clue. There's so much going on here, and it's really, really tight. At one point, I would say the Lions had no chance, and now they're a game and a half out of it. The Bears and Packers still have to play each other another time. There's a lot going on here. Let's go through the different schedules and have a little idea of how tough it's going to be for each team, where they could end up. Let's start with the Packers here. Not so easy. Broncos, one of the top defenses in the NFL. Bears, they just played each other, and it was a close game. Came down to the last couple seconds where there was an interception. Ravens, they were charging up and down. They lost against the Steelers this week, so who knows with them, but they could pop off on offense any week. And then the Vikings, sure, they've been tough this year, but they got a pretty good win this weekend. And then also it's a divisional matchup, so those are always tough. You never want to underestimate a divisional opponent. There's interesting stuff here. The Bears, I would say, is probably a little easier than the Packers. You obviously got the Browns. You could probably write that off as a win pretty easily. And then you got your revenge against the Packers. You're at home here now. Can you do what you couldn't do this week, take home that win, even up the head-to-head? 49ers, not an easy team. They've really shown flashes now that Brock Purdy's back. Their defense is still really good, and it's getting healthier. So that's not easy. And then you got the Lions. Again, divisional matchup to end the year. That's not anything to write off, and the Lions are still right there. That could be the Lions' opportunity to get back into first place or to keep themselves in the playoffs. And then the Lions here, I think this is probably the worst one that you got. You're going against the Rams, who have, I've said throughout this, are my favorite to come out of the NFC. That they look like the true Super Bowl contender. The Steelers, they're back in the playoffs right now, so they're going to be fighting hard to keep that playoff spot. The Vikings, like I said with the Packers, you can't write that off. It's a divisional matchup, and they're at the Vikings rather than the Packers having them at home. And then you've got the Bears. This could be the matchup for the Bears to win the North. So there's a lot going on. What is it going to take for each of these teams to get in? The simplest solution for the Packers, who are in first place right now, is win out. Obviously, you got to win out. The Bears, for them, it's simply, I think, you got to beat the Packers. You lose to the Packers, you got no chance to get past them if there's a tie. Now, I don't think there's a scenario where there could be a tie for the division unless they tie one of these games the rest of the way. So that little one on the end is going to make things a lot more confusing, or could make things a lot easier when it comes to tiebreakers. The Lions, this is where it gets really tough. The Lions have already lost to the Packers twice, so they're completely out on head-to-head on the Packers. They lose to the Bears, that's really going to bury them. The Lions got to win out, I think. They got to win out. They got to hope for some help from the Bears and Packers. But it seems like the easiest path here is that the Packers are going to move on and win this division. The Bears got a shot at it if they win this matchup in Week 16. But again, it's chaos. The NFC North is always chaos. I feel like the NFC and AFC North just provide the chaos every year. It could go any way. We're going to see how it goes. I think Week 16 is going to give us our clearest indication. If the Bears take that win, I would give it to the Bears to win this division. If the Packers take that win, I would give it to the Packers. I really don't think the Lions are coming out of this division.
This Week 16 game, the Bears-Packers game, is that got on paper the potential to be one of the games of the year then, just because of the playoff implications, the implications for the division, the rivalry, everything we saw on Sunday night? It was an exciting, enthralling game. Is that going to be one of the games of the year for you?
I think I would schedule that in right now as the most exciting game for the rest of the season. And yeah, it could certainly be game of the year. It was a great game on Sunday between these two teams. They fought really hard. The defenses looked good, went down to the wire. I would figure that's exactly what's going to happen again in this game. It's at home for the Bears. Their fans are going to be rowdy. That's going to help the Bears fight a little harder. We'll see if that gets them to a win. But yeah, all around, I think this is probably the most important game that we're going to see throughout the rest of this season, or that we even saw at all this season. I don't think anywhere is this tight where it's going to be that much of a complete flip in the playoff picture if one team goes the other way.
And this game in Week 18, do you think the Lions are kind of fully out of it by then, or do you think there's still a chance? They've got a really tough schedule for the last 4 games as well.
Yeah, they have to win out. They really simply have to win out to have a chance at winning their division. And at the same time, they got to win a good couple of these games to stay in the playoffs. So it's really important that they find wins throughout this schedule, because with how loaded the NFC is this year, I'm not sure that a 10-7 record gets you into the playoffs. So I would figure you want to win 3 of these games. It's probably going to come in the last 3 of the season. If they win out, is there a chance that they could win the division? Sure. The Lions need a lot of help. That's the simplest way you could put it. They need a lot of help. That game will certainly help them. It's only going to matter if they win their first 3 before getting to the Bears matchup.
David, I'm going to make you put your money where your mouth is as well now. If you've got $20 in your pocket, who's winning the NFC North?
Oh, boy. I've been on the Bears side all season. I really like Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, and I've been hyping them up throughout the season. So I'm going to stick with the Bears. I'm going to say they get that win at home in Week 16. I'm going to say they beat the Browns, they beat the Lions, and that's going to be enough to get them into the playoffs as the top seed in the NFC North and possibly even the number 1 seed in the NFC.
And that'll do it for Football X's and O's for us this week. You can catch us every Monday and every Thursday with our Ain't That Our Ball show. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and please let me know in the comments what I should be spending my $20 from David on.